Greetings. I'm Rodger Newbold, the host of the Experience Photography's video number 76. Mr. Matt Rich, my great friend, a tremendous photographer, and he is also the editor for this episode today. Matt, how's the turbulent world spinning for you today, my friend?
Whoa!
All right. In our last episode, we talked about avoiding the high anxiety, and we articulated that we were convinced that the world writes a new story every single day. Thus, we have the opportunity to freely make photographs that arouses and satisfies ourselves. Today, we evaluate some ideas for those who really sense there is something more stimulating to ascertain than just which f-stop provides the sharpest line pair count on the acuity chart. If you believe there is more out there to visually discover, this pursuit is for you today. Do you yearn for an image that is really more than just another unnumbered fact that unerringly describes the world in a greater splendor than a Xerox machine? Are you attempting to create more mystifying rendition of actuality? Then let's get on with it. We've expressed here before that innovative photography begins with curiosity. And I mean curiosity with a giant capital C. Today, this is not another big how-to show. It's an inspired assemblage of stimulating thoughts of how I may change my lifestyle to generate more fascinating, interesting images that are more than words can portray. Our last episode, we mentioned that we would maybe outline some practices and equipment necessary to really get those cinematic shots. And here now is a situation where the camera itself goes from more than just a photographic instrument to more of a genuine companion. Something that is always with you rather than, gee, I hope I remember to search for that camera before I leave the house. The actuality of this is you'll probably take more pictures if you have a camera in your possession. If you think dragging this clever little beast around is too much of a struggle, that it's just too big of a hassle, or you may look really daft hulking this baby around everywhere you go, maybe this isn't the correct endeavor for you. You may recall the old adage, no pain, no gain. We frankly don't see our understanding of this to be anything less than normal. All right, maybe a wee bit obsessive. This is not just me gassing out words. If this is something that you really want, then we're merely outlining a method of getting there. Study the history of any photographer you've ever heard of. Obviously, they had a camera with them. If they didn't, well, we haven't heard of them either. So go ahead and look up some contemporaries. Say, take, for example, Phil Penman, or Keith Carter, Michael Kenna, or even Sally Mann and her giant, overgrown 8x10 monster camera. Whoa. Or look up some of the old moldy oldies like Ansel Adams and Edward Weston, Joseph Sudak, or Eugene Auger. Come on, I'll wait for you to Google them. Do, 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 do. Well, if you care, you'll be carrying a camera. True. All righty then. This is a good look at the bad, the good, and the ugly, and the advice. It really enthusiastically describes step number 1 of a photographer. Hey, you got a camera. Secondly, at the heart of creative photography lies the journey of discovery. Okay, you curious crows, hold on to your hats. We're going to attempt to discover ourselves, that manner in which we may be connected to our perceptions and possibilities. What's really hiding in those deep underground little gray brain folds? Well, all of your emotions, patterns, and mysteries, that's what. Real innovative growth is going to be required, and a few bold changes. First, quite probably they'll be in your photographic technique. Assuredly, the second item in this process of thinking will be seeing afresh along this particular highway. Photography on this route needs to express sensation, not facts. Third, it requests the camera to become less of a recording tool and more of a big, broad brush that spreads emotion. Less objective, more subjective, and perhaps even a tad melancholy. We'll be expanding photographic seeing so that it loosens the grip on details and alludes to the essence, much like a magic fairy tale. Fourth, we're going to need to set aside some urges to continue on the old paths and outcomes toward more of the road less traveled. Become a scooch less critical and see what arises. Go squint your eyes. No, just really gently see more what appears and what is really felt. Well, when you're in this squinty stage, you don't really have to squint. Just become more easygoing in this vein of photography. This assuredly will take some getting used to, but it's entirely painless. The only thing you're risking is the possibility of having to delete some free-roaming, passionate pixels. Observe the potential rather than the certainties. Wander a bit slower. Oh, yeah. Breathe. Translate that into the ambience of what you feel. Touch the textures with your heart. But be careful. Keep it well-rounded so you don't tear the vitals. Listen to the color. What does it evoke? Artists have been doing this for years. The Impressionists sought sensation, not sharpness. They struggled to feel, to them, what was preferable rather than being scientific and simply depicting what was in front of them. I'll give you a good tip here. If you need some help, try looking through a crinkled, transparent plastic bag at it. Use it as a filter. It's really a cheap tool, and it's a highly successful one. Take this as a caricature. This pumpkin was cropped, sized, and copied. I made 4 duplicate layers. Then each layer was edited by rotating it some small amount, then scaled back to fit over the original image of the pumpkin. After those 4 layers were taken care of, I dusted it with a sprinkle of grain. Real easy peasy. Now, you have found something you didn't even know you were looking for. Take a look at that pumpkin. Third, art reminds us it's never been bound to accuracy. Look at Duchamp's nude descending a staircase, or Picasso's woman. Art's never been bound to accuracy. So don't you get your knickers in a twist and all bound up exploring the unobserved world around you. Just feel free to study painters and other artists, not to decode their style or technique, but simply to awaken your own eyes. A suggestion for camera wranglers is to set a shutter speed for your desired rendition. Now, I start around 1 second to maybe a half second and work my way up to 125th. And then I choose the frame that represents my final desired look. Now, you probably won't know what you've got until you get there and see which one really fits the bill. I pre-focus manually or turn on autofocus for luck. Use stabilization if you got it. The variety of photography, well, in this variety, f-stop is immaterial. It doesn't matter. I only use an f-stop to get to a shutter speed that I can use for slow motion shooting. And if you get too much light, obtain a good set of neutral density filters, like a 3-stop, a 6-stop, and a 10-stop. Or you can buy one of those new variable neutral density filters. They're good for anything. And while you're doing all of this, and you're really having a coronary about changing this style, ditch the tripod. For this style of shooting, tripod's unnecessary. It becomes cumbersome. It hampers what you're going to be trying to do. This goes from a factual assignment to, wahoo, here we go. Take a look at this set of pictures. They call it the pinball wizard. It's a zestful walk by shooting along a strip mall. It's just for fun. It was for amusement. Intentionally overlooking the need for, that safe shutter speed, the one that's supposed to be as fast as the focal length to avoid the dreaded blur. Well, I just let it rip. And it led to some real entertaining revelations. This acknowledges that movement has become a source of unpredictable power. It aids in translating the unexpected. It conveys your artistic touches. Now, utilizing intentional camera movements, or ICM, and using multiple exposures and compositing multiple exposures using extra slow shutter speeds and add a lot of variable coloring to this technique, conjures up and detonates sparks every time you press that shutter button. Sensuality in photography isn't obvious. It often speaks softly. Nonetheless, It wakens all of your senses. So, dwaddle on, my chums. The gentle speed of the flow. Effortless gliding. The deliberate mystery of movement. Oh, the slow swirl. I love it. You can have some giddy color adjustments. You can have some conclusive color changes. Added post-production textures and effects. Try some partial mono / color options. Try some muted color options. All of these techniques are valid. All of them are bold. They're innovative. They're unexpected. Take charge. Make the camera follow your lead. Become the mysterious camera person, kind of in the shadows. When somebody recognizes one of your innovative images, just quietly smile, not appreciatively. You know, the fourth concept is to dive into specialized lens realm. Now, Lens Baby, hey, they make an entire gaggle of glass options. They're totally off the wall. Some of these options can really be staggering. The imitation, the imagination, they burst forth, but on a budget. The Lens Baby Velvet lens gives a really soft glow, and I quite enjoy it. The Lens Baby Twist is only a 3-element Petzl designed lens. Everything in the background seems to take on the twist. If the budget allows, there are a number of higher zoot lenses that add some really nifty effects. You can try a tilt shift lens. Or you can try a giant super wide lens and try to avoid your shadow. Or I love the fisheye lens. Wow, Matt's truck. Old truck. And the fisheye lens out on the salt flats. Hey, these are exotic lenses. They have a lot of features. The most limited amount of depth of field possible. These lenses really make a fine point of your manifestations when you shoot at an aperture that's really wide open, like f1, 1.2, 1.4, something there. You know, those lenses are out there. They may cost a little more, but they really give you a nifty effect. Look at this snow picture the day we got 1 inch of snow. 1 inch of depth of field, wide open, 0.95 f-stop. Whoa! You know, fast aperture lenses, they dance in the dark. You can really play after the sun goes down if you use a high ISO. I was using 0.95 aperture, set at 6400 ISO. I came out of a restaurant. Here is 2 jets crossing contrails. This is like 9 o'clock at night. And I'm still shooting with a shutter speed that's great. This pathway, 0.95, ISO 6400. You can categorically master some real avant-garde experiments when you allow yourself to be in control, but trending out to the ragged edge. No, keep your technical solid foundation. Use it. But join it with your spontaneous new endeavors and tools. You just can't come home and not be smiling. What a great time trying something new. Now, every photographer asks, oh, what's next? What can I do today? Remember, every frame you make becomes part of the story that only you can tell. I don't know what you're thinking. Nobody else does. An expressive life is not only about leaving the legacy of other things, but also having fun en route. Evolution doesn't come from guarding what you already know or practicing the same steps over and over and over. That worked with Kodachrome. You needed to. It was a weird film. Very small range that it could be shot in and work perfect. But today, with digital, the work stretches across a lifetime, and it never ends. Every day you're blessed to live gives you another blank page in that sketchbook of life. Fill it up on your own indomitable manner. Damn, just get out and go for it. Have some fun. Well, our time has elapsed for today. I want to thank you for hanging in there with us. Please subscribe, ring that little bell. Most of all, give us a giant thumbs up. If you like this adventure, please add your comments at the bottom of this. You know, I thank you so very much. Matt and I tried to offer suggestions that will help expand your creative choices and give you something more. Hope that you find success in all of your accomplishments. In parting, forgive yourself for not knowing earlier what only time could teach you. Matt and I salute you. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being with us. Until we meet again, a tip of my hat to you, and cheerio.